pulling energy from the exclusive list of the federal list to allow states to come in. Tinubu came in and also ratified that amendment, made another adjustment to that amendment, strengthening it further. And part of that, I don't know if I should go further or allow you to continue to lead. Why?
Yes, I wanted to ask. You wrote about the Emeka Ofor's issue, is a MOU with the state. You also talked about allowing private sector to come in. Is Emeka Ofor not from the private sector?
Thank you. The EEDC, I wouldn't call that private sector because one, the Emeka Ofor and Co, they are private sector, but that is organized as in dangerously set up and in name of private sector. It was not publicly bidded like transparency. When I was explaining, I talk about controversially organized privatization that allow EEDC to come in, the so-called EEDC, Emeka Ofor and Co. But that's by the way, we have passed that stage now. The stage we are now is that the new act, allows states to set up their own legal framework that will allow them to generate power and distribute power. On the issue of Emeka Ofor's EEDC has not been fair to Southeast. And again, they don't generate power. What Southeast is facing is power generation and supply crisis. Now, EEDC is striving to stop every action that will lead to generating power. They see that in Southeast, they view that as one coming to undermine their market share. But one, they don't consider the implication of this to Southeast economy and unemployment and issue of crime rates in Southeast. To us, for me, Emeka Ofor EEDC is semi-private sector. Semi-private sector in the sense that they are, I don't know how, they are part of the monopoly. And what we are looking at is to decentralize the power, demonopolize the power sector so that it will move from Abuja control to state control, so that each state will have mechanism to manage their own prices. So that if we have problem, we don't need to, if something happened to Shilolo in Niger State, it shouldn't affect the entire country. If something happened in Oshobo power distribution channel, it shouldn't affect the entire nation. The act allow the governor, the State House of Assembly, to generate law for distribution, and what it takes, what we expect the governor to do is to issue licenses in line with the State Act, so that different private sector can come in. If we can issue 100, 10, 20, multiple in Anambra to give us the required megawatt we need in Anambra State. Because
so is this peculiar to Anambra State alone? Because you've been very particular about Anambra. And before you answer that, I was looking at the document, your write-up. You addressed the issues regarding Emeka Ofor, the monopoly surrounding his MOU with Charles Soludo. But is it the only one involved in this business in Anambra State? Or you have other individuals who have also invested in this power sector?
Thank you. By the old order, which they are still operating, no other person is allowed to invest. They are still using the monopoly setup of the federal government, which is Emeka Ofor is part of. Emeka Ofor's EEDC is part of. Emeka Ofor's EEDC is controlling Southeast in terms of distribution but he's not giving the Southeast enough. And so on that note, there is no, Emeka won't even allow another individual to come in. That's why he fought geometric power in Aba for years, for them to get some part of Abia State. For years, they have been in that war. But the good thing is that the new act has removed the ability of Emeka to fight any private sector. Because the new act, I will read the act, part of the act that gave the state power for you. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Now look at the second schedule of the Electricity Act 2023. It says, nothing in this act shall invalidate any law passed by a state house of assembly with respect to all aspects of generation, power generation, transmission, system operation, distribution, supply, and retail of electricity within that state. B, any law passed by State House of Assembly of a state with regarding the establishment, promotion, and management of state electricity power stations. C, any law passed by any House of Assembly of a state to sanction establishment of a state electricity market, the establishment of a state electricity regulatory authority or any entity by whatsoever application with powers to regulate such markets. Any law for collaboration states between states, local government and federal government for rural electrification or between state and local government and distribution license to ensure electricity access to rural underserved area, promote investment in electricity or provision of electricity within the state or local government. Any law passed by House of Assembly of a state to establish of a state electricity market, state integrated electricity policy and strategic implementation. But that's the end of what these are where the law gave the state authority. If you check, you see that it says that states can also create a law for collaboration. It will be on their, if they want to. By implication, this act, but most governors are not even aware of the act. Most of the governors' aides are not even aware. The ones that are aware don't even care to explore it. And that's the danger. It's very dangerous in states like Anambra that has huge manufacturing capacity and industrial capacity. The implication is that these industries will be closing down because competition is coming every day. With this, neighboring states will mine this and produce at cheap cost. A consumer will go for the less cost products than trying to be patriotic because we are producing in my state and it's very costly. So, and we are looking at how do we reduce the cost of the rate of crime through job creation. And if you don't crash the cost of production, you cannot talk about reducing crime through productive economy. And this is what we are driving on. Energy is the center of this. Power generation is the center of this. So these are some.
There are states in the southeast who have actually overcome this power issue, because we see on social media how Aba has been lit up by Alex Oti. So is that a reality? And if it is true, how do you overcome that maker of false bureaucracy or monopoly?
Thank you. That's why I said, if you check, it's more than close to 20 years war. They have been in court fighting, as in the private company has been in court fighting to be allowed. And the maker for took them to court, fighting them, using all the contact against them. If you look at, if that man and those around him are, I mean, the man behind that of Aba, Professor Pat, former Minister of Power too, Bart Nnaji, if he was someone with, if he's someone without contact and reach, he must have been dead by now, because the stress and the money they played fighting for this was so huge. And do mortgage on his maybe bank don't want to know. Bank that put money on your business, invested their money, don't want to know about that you are fighting that, and you are paying interest every day. What am I saying? The man fought, and the government, state government also supported him against Emeko and all that. At the end of the day, they reached understand, and he paid so much. That was before the old act. But today, with this current act, like I said, this act was just signed, this law was just signed in 2023, February. And the same month it was signed, Emeko rushed to Awka, Anambra State, to get Soludo to sign MOU with Soludo, which most Anambrarians don't know the content of the MOU. The Buhari signed act the same month, February, and Soludo Emeko came to Awka. And we saw pictures, and that they've signed MOU, that there will be 24 hours, 7 power to an umbrella. That was what they told the media. But till date, we could not see anything. And we have been waiting for Soludo to start acting in line with this new act, like that of Enugu State, that took 2 bills to the State House of Assembly to create a state law to allow private sector to come in. What are this law talking about? This law is a situation whereby now Enugu State is not going to put money. What are they going to do? They are only going to create an enabling environment for private sector to come in. We have been thinking that Anambra, that Buhari's bill, the Anambra should be the highest beneficiary. We expected that if Soludo take executive bill to Anambra State House of Assembly to create these laws, that we are likely to have a situation whereby investors will move in money. Investors will move in money, and also because there is already a legal framework for them to come. And the state will make money, and our businesses will grow. How? Let me give you an example. Places like Onitsha, Nnewi, you can create a competitive market for investors. So, okay, for power generation, you can give like 10, 20 energy company licenses to operate in Nnewi or Onitsha. You don't need to centralize generation and make the same mistake we used to make in Nigeria made. Just use micro cluster approach. Cluster, maybe one street or 3 streets, one zone or whatever. Create a cluster, and they will pay government tax, and they will drive the markets. That's what we are looking at. Now look at what Enugu State Governor said on the day he signed his law. Let me read what he said. Mind you, that the Enugu State Governor came almost 1 year after Soludo. Soludo was inaugurated on 17th of March. On 17th of March 2022. Enugu State Governor came, so Soludo was there before Buhari signed the law. Now, Enugu State Governor came on May 29, 2023, some months after Buhari signed the law. But look at what he said. He said, and I quote, on signing the bill, look at what he said. He said, as you know, as he said, and I quote, he said, and I quote, as you know, following the constitutional amendment and the Electricity Act of 2023, electricity is now on the concurrent list. This will now enable us to play in all value chain of the electricity industry. So, Enugu State has spared no time in making sure that we create our own electricity market. That is the clause of this law. We are now able to play in the generation, transmission, and distribution segment of the electricity market. We are also, through our regulatory commission, which this law has given us power to create, going to be able to regulate the activities of these players, generation, transmission, and distribution companies that will flow from it. So this is a significant and very important law towards the achievement of Enugu, of our dream, because the environment and growth of Enugu will all be predicated on the platter that this law has created. You cannot talk about industry or private sector investment if you don't have electricity. Enugu, under my administration, is designed and indeed prepared to be the premier destination for investment, and this law is part of the enablers. Quotation close. That is what Enugu State Governor said as he was signing the new law. He took the two laws into State House Assembly, and the executive bill, and they signed it into act.
I'll have to get back to you. If you are just joining us, we're looking at the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, and Monopolistic Energy Law. That's what we're looking at. And the person that is joining us to look at that is Ikechukwu Onya. I want to... Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. I will quickly want to ask you, what is the hope for the Enugu? Because the bureaucracies that have been created by this partnership, from what you have written, has actually created a lot of issues. You know, people cannot generate electricity, and of course, you have to rely on one man to do that for you. And even at that, you don't seem to be, seeing the electricity. You're paying more than other states that even have the electricity. Could there be an interest from the government, in their partnership with Emeka Ofo? Could this be a state thing? Because if the state is not benefiting from those issues, how can people be made to go through issues like this? All right, so I will allow you to take that up. It seems you are having conversation with someone.
My children.
So please go ahead.
Please, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Please, can you repeat this question, please?
Okay. What I said, if the state is not benefiting from such issues, from such hardship that are remitted on the people, definitely a solution would have been preferred. So obviously, are you looking at a possible connection between the state and Emeka Ofo in the sharing of the benefits, so that Enugu people are paying more than other states, yet they are getting less of electricity than other states? Could it be a state thing, or you think that is basically, we're just looking at the basics of what is supposed to be when you're trying to generate electricity for the state and all that?
Okay. What you're asking is if Enugu is paying higher, or if there is something like...
Right up, it's obvious you said they are paying higher but getting less of electricity. They pay more than the electricity they are getting. Isn't that
okay? Southeast.
Yes, okay, Southeast, basically.
Southeast. The Enugu Electricity is a name of the company that is in charge of Southeast distribution. Is there, if there is more than what I can see on that note?
Yes, in a connection with the states, the governors and all that.
The thing is this: what many think or believe is that most governors lack ball to take on the cartel that are the unknown hands that are behind EEDC. That's what many of us believe as victims of EEDC. Because I believe we are all consumers. Most of us we from Southeast are consumers of electricity supplied by EEDC. And we can say that it is part of maybe it is part of post-Civil War policy of keeping Southeast economy down, even when they are striving, the individuals are striving to stand up through patriotism. That whatever any law that will come from federal government, either it is being touched or set up in a way or set machinery to make it not to function actively in Southeast. That's why we are that this one that has been signed, that our governors should forget Abuja now, use it to drive South, make their own law. Thank God that it has been signed. Let's now use it and forget the makeup and others and what has happened before, what is happening. Now, let's chart course. Let's push on the governors. Now, the federal government has released this law. We don't need to be talking about Abuja and all this. Let's now talk about Oka. Let's talk about Umahia. Let's talk about Enugu. Let's talk about Abakaliki. Let's talk about Owerri. Let's talk about those in charge of these various states within Southeast, because they have been given power to manage their own. And do you know the advantage Anambra has in terms of power generation? Currently, the leading investors, private sector drivers in gas infrastructure and gas processing are from Anambra. For instance, Nesta Oil is a huge player in gas pipeline development. He's from Anambra. ABC Ojako company, Sep Plant, are big players in gas field development. They develop Ohajebema gas field that is supplying gas in Aba. Now, if you look at Emeka Ukwosa, Oil Serve, that is handling AKK, Ajokuta Kaduna Kano gas pipeline, $2.5 billion US contract, is from Anambra. Talk about Ibeto's Cottonwood gas field development. They develop one in Omasi, Anambra State, Ayamelum, and the one from Benokoi, and so on and so forth. What am I saying? Anambra has capacity, DDI capacity, direct domestic investment capacity, to even drive it from domestic investors, not to talk about DFI. But what is the governor doing? By now, governor ought to send the bill to House of Assembly and start roadshow on investors roadshow, talking to Anambra and others. Come and invest. We are taking law to House of Assembly. The implication of not doing this is that these states around Anambra are not smiling. They are putting their infrastructure, and already we have AFTA. Currently, we have AFTA. They are not taking note of this AFTA, African Continental Trade Area Agreement, signed by almost all the African countries. And part of that AFTA, if you don't invest on infrastructure that will crash the cost of production in your country or in your state or in your community, the implication is that the barrier will be removed. Africa will have single markets. Someone that produces cheap in Ghana will come to Nnewi and sell very cheaper than what is produced in Nnewi, because we are producing at cost price. And the consumer will go for cheaper, less costly products. The implication is that over time, if you are not serious, your productive capacity, manufacturing capacity will go down, and unemployment will increase, and crime will also go higher with it. That's why we are emphasizing on this critical infrastructure. Prioritize what we are doing, not friendship. I know that Emeka, the face behind EEDC, and our governor are friends, but it's beyond friendship. We are talking about public policy and state infrastructure and the future of the state. If we don't get it right on this, every day we are generating army of unemployed youths, graduate, non-graduate. They are coming up every day, and they already. You can't say of Lagos, you can't say of any state that is not your home, because anything with what happened in Lagos the other day, you cannot be too sure that you will be too free in another state for too long. If you don't put up infrastructure, now the other day the governor was speaking about that they also need gas. The federal government should release gas. My answer to that: how far have you used the one released to you? The government, also federal government, Buhari also signed bill allowing the state, just like power, to operate in the railway sector. What is the government doing? By now, the governor ought to have called for investors summit on that angle, start brainstorming and how to benefit from these new laws. Lagos is not playing. They are doing a lot. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria, followed by Anambra. When you are in terms of land mass, when you are too small in that way, you work on critical infrastructure. Anambra is not doing a infrastructure. What we are working on over time is grade C or E infrastructure. By now, we should be working on super infrastructure that can drive economy. We are lucky that Anambra people are patriotic in terms of investing in their state. But it gets a time that states need to help, especially with this new law. This new law will help us a lot if they understand it. Now, what they are saying of late, I heard somebody say that they are trying to set that they've set up a committee, or that are going to set a committee to look into that power sector. I mean, Anambra State. They are still looking to set committee, and I asked them, when will this committee be through with their report, or when are we likely to see Anambra State take the bill to State House of Assembly? And they said they don't know. I told them, because in Nigeria, committee, political setup, I've reported around politics, so I understand them. Committee does two things in Nigeria. Committee, whenever in political circle, either ad hoc committee used to do job, or used to buy time for the public to feel that government is doing something. And whenever committee is set up to use to buy time, the government will never give you date. And that is the danger.
All right, thank you very much.
Look at another thing.
You asked the question in that write-up. You did say, is it possible that Charles Soludo was tricked into signing the MOU, or did he sacrifice the state to please his friend? Which one could it be?
That is a question only Soludo can answer. But for me, Soludo is too exposed not to be informed about this. A former university lecturer, a former presidential economic advisor, a former central bank governor, and now a governor of a state cannot claim to be unaware of that bill, or unaware of the implication of sustaining EEDC as a major player in the state. Do you know what they are trying to do? The problem the Nigeria are trying to solve is what we are trying to domesticate in Anambra. But Buhari signed that bill at the end of his tenure, because the cabal around the disco wouldn't have allowed him ab initio. So he waited for the end of his tenure, when he knew that he's not owing anybody. He signed it. So he played all of them. They were surprised that he will sign it, because it had been a conversation for years in Nigeria. Let federal government release this thing. Then Buhari waited till end of his tenure. Buhari handed over on May 29, 2023. Buhari signed that bill on first week or second week of February 2003. So they were shocked. The moment Buhari signed that bill, Emeka rushed to Awka and signed MOU with Soludo. So that's why I say, could it be that Emeka tricked Soludo? Because Soludo also made unguided statements that with this, that we are going to have 24 hours. How? EEDC has never been a manufacturer of power. So how can they give 24 hours power in the state? And Soludo made that statement, and I quoted him. The same thing with Emeka. But it has gotten to the point, you expected the State House of Assembly to start speaking, but the setup of State House of Assembly in various states cannot speak against the governor. So it's now left for the public assembly, the citizens to start talking, the media to start asking questions, so that these people will start adjusting. Because if you allow them, it will continue. And if investors or foreign investors on hearing about this new act and they prepare to invest in states and they move their money and waiting for your state to sign the act so that they will move in, and you are not signing and their money is waiting, after some time they will go to another state that is ready to do business. The money won't be waiting for you than Kingdom Come. That's what we are talking about. We shouldn't make this mistake of power. Why is Ogun State active? Ogun State is active. Abara industrial capacity in Ogun State is growing every day. Why? Because of power. You are talking about Enzo, Akuruno. Akuruno, how? Akuruno is that they should bring down their business. How? Business is not run by sentiment. You must create incentive policy attraction that will attract them back. If you refuse to create this attractive incentive policy, business attractive policy, slogan is not enough for a business person to move his business or her business down. Look at what is happening in Sangota and Abara in Ogun State. What is happening? About 30 to 40% of the industrial capacity of Lagos has moved to Ogun State. Why? Is it Ogun State the only close by state to Lagos? No. Because of gas pipeline power. They move in because of power in Ogun State. So there are things that you put in and business will follow that policy. So I expected that Soludo by now must have been so running in speed to put up this infrastructure, policy, soft and physical infrastructure to attract this investment. Because if you fail to do this, if our industrial capacity, there is how far private sector can lead. If a private sector that have been producing, driving the industrialization in Anambra State, over time, most of them are not. Anambra does not have industrial estates per se, a designed industrial estate with infrastructure for industry. It has been individual driving it. Now, most of them are closing down. The last time we count, like within May, we noticed that so many industries have they have gone out of business and moved into importation and what have you. Why? Because of lack of government understanding and what to do. Now we have been given this one. We should drive it. After that, we can fight for gas pipeline. If the problem with Anambra, one of the problems with Anambra is that governors are most times they are so busy with triangular view of Ikoka, Nkonewi, and Onchame market. They are focused on tasks, small tasks they will get from Nkonewi and Ikoka. That's their focus. They don't even understand what is happening in Abuja. The real business that is happening in Abuja, they don't. That's why when they make critical bill acts, new law like this, they don't care.
All right, Mr. Ikechukwu, we'll be back to you. Thank you so much for your analysis of this subject. If you are just joining us, we are looking at the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, and the Monopolistic Energy Law. I want to give room for some persons to ask you a few questions so that you can take, because we're rounding up right now. So you'll be able to pick a few questions before we round up. Okay. Nobody seems to be asking you a question. No hands are raised. So I want to go back, come back. Okay, what is the way forward for our people? Do we need more campaigns? Do we need peaceful protests? Do we need to, what can the people do to actually change this narrative? Because when the government is not doing anything, and then maybe there's something the people need to do differently, what do you think needs to be done?
What the people need to do is just, one, the media have to help the people, to educate the people, but many people don't know about this. Because I was surprised the first time we published this and push it. So even some educated and exposed ones don't know about this law. And I can tell you that one thing about cartel is that they are too deep. They make sure that this act doesn't trend the content where it will benefit the state. That's why the Minister of Power is still talking about that Nigeria needs about 100 billion US dollars to invest on power. He's still talking about centralized. I said we don't need centralized approach to power problem, because
okay, please, can you hold on a bit? You have a question coming from my host. Please hold on so you can get the question. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good evening. I just want to, I'm someone who has a keen interest in this electricity sector. I know just before Buhari left, like he said, he gave us a gift. People didn't notice. He actually signed a bill that empowers not just states. I know it's not just states to provide electricity, but individuals, even private companies provide electricity.
Yeah.
Up to is it 100 watts or so? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think from the states, individuals can provide electricity up to by 100 watts or so. I don't, something like that, right?
For their company also.
Yeah. So I want to know now. I thought Nigerians would be excited about such a situation whereby now I'm somewhere in Abuja now. This is a street. I could generate power. I could apply for like a license and generate power for the streets and make money from it. That's what the law says. Companies can also look for an area, maybe like an estate or an area, generate power or a particular amount and make money from it. Then states can also generate their own power. That's the way it is now according to the law. But nothing seems to be happening. It's almost like when GSM they gave GSM licenses in the year 2001. Nothing happened. Almost 8 months until Atiku Abubakar came in, weighed in, we had Econet, and they finally kicked off. Right now, it seems as if nothing is happening. But Nigerians could actually do that and make electricity make money from electricity by going to private by generating electricity from on their own and distributing to their streets, to their localities. What is making this particular law not to take effect? Because this is an opportunity for a lot of us companies to really make.
Hello? Hello?
Sorry, I think that was my network. So why do you think this program is not going through? Why?
Hello? Okay. Can I answer now? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, you can answer. You can answer now.
Okay.
You can answer. Go ahead.
Okay. The 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 thing is, one, I think many are not aware of the law. That's where media comes in. And I can, like I always say, that the cartel behind Disco and Jenko could be the one driving the less attention from media. They have such capacity that conventional media can be held down. They will not pay attention on this. And this that's why I keep on saying that the citizen through media can drive it, can drive these attentions, um, can raise this conversation up to the point that governors and what have you will start doing something in terms of creating their own laws within the various states so that individuals can operate, so that private sector can come in. To answer your question, what is holding them from doing something is the cartel. Most of the governors you see, most of the owners of Genco and what have you, must have given them one or two amount during the elections. Do you understand? So because of this, most of them will be seeing it from, I don't want to offend my friend or one of my financier, or that I'm going for second term, I don't need trouble, or that I'm going for this, I don't need trouble from this person or that person. This could be the problem. I don't need this fight.
Yeah,
Could be this.
let me expatiate on an experiment. Okay, during the Easter period, while I went to the south, I went to my state. I went to a town called Bomadi. I don't know if Bomadi is a place in Delta State that is not connected to the national grid.
Yeah.
Now, this is what's happening in Bomadi. If you go to some areas in Bomadi, at a particular time of the day, let's say from 12 midday, let's say to like say let's say for like 6 hours, you just see light somewhere, but they're not connected to the national grid. This is what happens. Somebody gets a lister or something and just generates lights to the street and collects some particular amount of them on a monthly basis and is able to generate light for a particular time of the day. So I'm wondering why I think you're right. Maybe most Nigerians are not aware, but I don't know why an opportunity like this to generate funds and most Nigerians are just aloof. What can be done so that more Nigerians can know much about this particular law and take advantage of it? Thank you.
It has to do. The whole thing has to do with media. Media is the one that will educate them. Because I was surprised. There was a place we are arguing it after the first publication, and in one WhatsApp group, top and you know, most educated enlightened, we are arguing that it's not true, that there is no such law. It took me getting the act, dropping the act, and getting what Enugu State governor said to drop before they started saying it. I was shocked. You know, if such exposed individual we are not aware or they are not aware of this law, imagine the common person on the street. So the media is not doing enough on that angle. And the most of the political office holders are okay with the status quo because of political interest based on who is behind JSCO and DISCO. It takes strong mind for you to go against them. It's a huge cartel. Most of those behind even EEDC and what have you, this DISCO and JSCO are former presidents and former head of states are behind it. Forget the person that they're using as the face of it. And governors are aware. So most of them don't want to go into such war. But thank God for this new act that have liberated your state from their
Sorry.
war or whatever. So the media and the
Sorry,
people,
thank you.
welcome. Hello, Elvis.
Mr. Elvis, over to you.
There was another
Maybe.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time. Okay, I want to see if anybody else has a question for you. If there's
Okay.
nobody else with a question for you.
Yes.
maybe-
He said, please, can you explain in simplified manner the new power law? Also,
Okay.
does Anambra has gas to power Anambra?
Power Anambra.
Thank you, Ken. To simplify the law is just saying that states, before now, it is only Abuja federal government that has power over electricity matter. Generation of power, federal government. Distribution of power, federal government. No state has power over. In fact, it is federal government centrally controlled. No matter how you want it, you cannot. But the new law is saying that state governments can now create a framework. State House of Assembly can create law for one, because power has different segments, generation and distribution and all that. So they're now saying that Anambra, for instance, can now create their own law for generation. How? If they create their own law for generation, you will give license for private sector. I don't think states will go into business of generating power. What they need is just to create law. If they create the law, private individuals can come in and invest. If they have a law for generating 50 watts, 100 megawatts, and what have you, they will not create it. You come and generate or power a particular area. It must not be one person or one company. They can give power generation for about 50, 10, 20, no matter how many they want. On issue of gas, it's not only gas that you need to power electricity. You can use solar. You can just give them the license for the power generation. Again, if it is gas, you have gas. You can use trucking. There's gas now as a data, a gas field. There's gas field processed by Ibeto, cutting wood at Omasi in Ayamelum local government of Anambra State. If it is gas, if you are using turbine to power your own, you can use trucking, that visual gas pipeline, that trucking. You get truck, power your turbine and power your gas turbine and do your transmission. What am I saying? Anambra, gas is not the problem. The problem is not creating the law for the private sector to come in. Create the law, let them come in. Those that will use gas to generate their own, because the law did not say that it is only gas or it is only water. You have water. Those that will use that will generate through dam, you use dam. Those that will use gas. You have water in Anambra. You have other means. You can use those that can use solar. We use solar. Just create the law. It must not be from one source, like what is happening in Nigeria. If something happened to gas or happened to Kanji dam, everywhere will be blackout. No, it needs to look at the what you can use, what someone can use to get power in Delta may not be what someone in Ekiti will use, and what have you. So Ken, I think I have answered your question on simplifying the manner, the new power law, about the new power law, and does Anambra have gas? So I think the state governors should be creative at this point. There is need for governors to utilize the power they have. When we utilize, we can go for another item that we want to pull out from the exclusive list. But for now, let's utilize the one given to them. All the state, okay, look at Ekiti State is also driving this new law. They are the second state to pass a law pulling out of NEC, National Electricity Regulatory Agency, NEC. Enugu is leading. They joined. The ball is in the court of the state governors, and the people calling NEPA, calling that one, calling this one is not enough. What they need is to call the governors to start doing what is right. When these disco companies know that the governors or states want to go alone, go solo, they will start behaving because competition is coming. It's just like allowing during the telecommunication before the GSM, and the country, and you are saying that you want your states to continue to be under what's the name? NITEL, to be supplied by NITEL. You will be backward because others will be moving. You don't rely on relying on DISCO, EEDC, that DISCO, to sustain your manufacturing sector and all that is dangerous. And a state like Anambra should do something about it. And that EEDC is the worst of the whole DISCO in the country, the worst in terms of performance. And so I believe that as we go on if we continue to mount pressure, there will be solution. I think someone is raising hand.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm the one raising up his hand. So I think we have spent good time in this conversation. What I would like to say is with the coming of Governor Soludo into office, many people had expected that we will have an enlightened governor. He's a professor. And I remember that he used to call Mr. Peter B the trader governor.
Yeah.
And the Peter B responded, and now that you're a professor, let us now, you don't like a trader governor, let us now have a professor governor. And the world is moving. There is a question I saw in the chat box about gas power. I don't know, because I was also having another meeting, another Zoom meeting with people associated with PO. So I know you must have done justice to the question of whether Anambra has enough gas to power the entire state. Yeah. But then I think Anambra should be talking of renewable power at this point. If Anambra, I think the Anambra is still the light of the nation. Is it? Is that the light of the nation or the heartbeat of the nation? Which one are we?
Is light of the nation is
the light of the nation. So, being the light of the nation, we should be talking of renewable energy at this point. Anambra has, well, sunshine is not lacking in the state. It's a very hot state. And this monopolistic energy law that have been started by President Buhari, like you said, and now further amplified by President Bola Tinubu, should allow a lot of Anambra billionaires to invest in power. And we were thinking that the Governor Soludo, the professor governor, would have given an enabling environment for these Anambra billionaires to now invest energy. The biggest company, the richest companies in the world are energy companies. So if he had allowed people to invest in renewable energy, for instance, to power the state, it would have been wonderful. And then Anambra would truly be the light of the nation in word and truth. So hopefully the message will get to him. He can still show the light. And unfortunately, like you have just brilliantly explained, this MOU he signed with the Emeka appears to be stunting the progress or development in that regard rather than enhancing it. And we hope that it will be changed or he will be forced to make amendments. So thank you very much, Mr. Ikechukwu. This is a topic you have written so eloquently about. We did in our editorial. Ikechukwu is a prolific writer. He's from Anambra State, so he's an expert on the topic. So definitely he knows what he's talking about. We thank you for appearing on this program. And next week, we hope to see you again at this time. But tomorrow, it will be for politicians. A politician is coming on the program tomorrow by 6 p.m. to speak on another subject. But we look forward to having you again on this program. So once again, I say thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Elvis, are you there to round up? Otherwise, if I will do the honors, if there is any other person that want to make any comment before we call it a day. So, thank you very much, Mr. Ikechukwu again. And our viewers and listeners, thank you for your questions. We look forward to having you again next time. Good evening.
Thank you for having us. Good night, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you, Charity. Thank you for coming and good night. Okay, Mr. Rampam.
I hear you.